Namaste, everyone. I'm going to give you Kundalini Yoga for unlocking the inner shaman so that you may experience the profound, powerful awakening of your Shakti. So, the shaman is an interdimensional traveler. And every human being on this planet has the capacity to be an interdimensional traveler. Your aura is your time-space machine. Your mind is the space, right? The space in which we move through, right? The thought is faster than the speed of light. Right? Your consciousness, your greatest Sachic record, right? Where you have the tools and techniques, the mantra, right? The mind wave that you ride, right? Like the speed of light. It carries you, right? Places, realms, into vibrational frequencies. And your heart is the compass. It's the navigation system, right? In this great big multiverse, we need a compass. We need a navigation system, right? And the great sort of meditation practice is your imagination, right? Learning what it means to shapeshift. So a lot of shamanism, there's a shape-shifting sort of understanding, right? And yoga, we see it as like origami, right? Your body folding forward and back and creating all these type of shapes, right? All these different forms is a mere reflection of your mind, right? And your mind having that ability to shapeshift, right? So this goes all the way to ancient Egypt when we think of the shamans of ancient Egypt and their sort of altered states of consciousness, or sort of, we can say like transcendental meditations where they have these sort of interstellar experiences, right? And the whole purpose of that is to connect with higher creativity, right? To connect with one's higher creativity. And on this earth, when we get locked into this earth, we get very earthbound, and this earth presents its challenges, right? It has its programming, right? Just like every planet has its own magic show, its own programming, its own sort of matrix that we as an individual, we learn how to kind of best maneuver through that, through the compass of our heart and through the sort of clarity of our mind, right? It's called sovereignty, right? Sovereignty is having the courage of your heart, but also having the clarity of your mind, having an intention, having a direction, and also having the sort of magnetic, that magnetic energy to be able to attract, right? To manifest and demanifest through your will, right? Through your navel strength, right? Your navel, which has everything to do with perseverance, determination, resilience. And this is all that we practice in Kundalini Yoga, right? So this particular Kriya is going to help us to unlock that the mystic inside of us, right? The mystic that has access to this abundant sort of teachings, right? Philosophies, sort of spirituality of our soul, and how vast and expansive our soul is, and our soul has traveled to many places. And that's basically what a shaman does, is it helps you to retrieve your soul, to be in the embodiment of your soul, right? So the shaman, it could be through sound, it can be through a sort of remedy, sort of modality, it can be through a movement, it can be through a sort of trance, sort of, like we call past life regression, or it can even be through leadership, right? Leadership, sort of revolutionary leadership when it comes to change, right? So a lot of the shaman's mind is a part of the change, right? The change, the sort of helping people move through change, right? So the shaman is always associated with Scorpio, right? And Scorpio is the planet Pluto, right? And that has everything to do, Pluto has everything to do with your soul's mission, right? And on this earth, sometimes you need sort of a revolutionary voice of reason, a sort of leader of the spiritual realm that can help you to unlock your sort of code, right? We all have an authentic code that is not bound to earth. It's quite interstellar in nature, right? But when we kind of drop into this earth, we're presented with the human condition. And the human condition is and many times we get locked into the program, the belief, right? And we've seen our many different sort of challenges that we as human beings had to face to retrieve our soul, to liberate ourselves. So the Pluto has everything to do with acts of liberation, right? Scorpio has everything to do with acts of liberation, the death and the rebirth, right? And that's what your soul is. Your soul is this kind of in eternal shape-shifting form, right? You yourself are not eternal, because this is just a temporary avatar vessel, right? But you are an eternal shape-shifting form. And when you get to know that kind of soul energy, that pure soul energy, that's when you really can connect with your soul's journey completion, right? And that's kind of what a shaman helps facilitate, the soul's journey completion. Because in this earth, we get so wrapped up into the judgment that we, and many of us, we like have amnesia, right? We act like we don't know what we're doing. We lie to ourselves. We're dishonest with people. We create these sort of like soul ties. We have these sort of karmas of past lives, the childhood traumas, ancestral traumas, generational curses, and all of that energy, right? It can create like sort of block, right? Block. So the shaman mind, sort of unlocking the mystic, is helping yourself gain the sort of Shakti within, right? The Shakti to be able to unblock, right? And to begin to pull into you your authentic code, right? Your authentic code. And a lot of us as human beings, this earth is relatively young compared to other sort of planetary systems, right? And we know that as human beings, right? So a lot of us as humans, we don't originate from Earth, right? There's a particular group we can call like an elite group that originate from planet Earth, meaning they've had like their first incarnations on planet Earth, right? Or they were here when the whole human development happened, right? So they were here, ancient Egypt, Lemuria, Atlantis, and going, Ethiopia, and all these different geographic regions, right? In the early times. So we're going to work on the unlocking of the mystic, the inner shaman within ourselves, so that we can learn what it means to follow our heart and have the courage, the grit, the sort of gut, the sort of unconditional love to follow through on our expansion, right? No matter how challenging and difficult it gets, we can follow through on our expansion, and we can begin to cultivate and embody higher levels of creativity, and use that to really transform our lineage, to really transform our past lives, to transform our sort of the coding and programming and patterning of ourselves, so that we can start to become the mere reflection of our soul energy, and that sort of powerful, empowered, inspired sort of state of like fearlessness. And that's what Shakti is. Shakti is a sort of fearlessness that we can cultivate through the sort of bond, the sort of infusion that we have with that power of our soul. Fearlessness comes from a deeper energy. And that deeper energy is Kundalini, right? Kundalini is seen as the fullness of our creative power, right? Our personal power. So Kundalini yoga is associated with the Shakti lineage, because Shakti is all about being in one's personal power. Right? And the personal power is about character development, right? Character development has everything to do with initiating yourself further. So a lot of times a rite of passage of womanhood, manhood, into wisdom is to initiate yourself, is to go through these sort of trials, to go through those sort of challenges, to be on a journey, right? To be on a journey, right? And that's how you develop these qualities of life, right? These qualities of the mind, right? These sort of tools and techniques, right? They're not just, they don't just kind of, pop into you, just kind of come out of your ass, right? They're grown, right? You have to learn these type of things. So fearlessness is all about learning lessons. It's all about your creative expansion, right? And when you get this creative expansion, you start to get very sort of close with the earth, right? Very close with the earth, and you start to be able to use the sort of the code of the earth, right? Because the earth will communicate to you. The animals will communicate to you. The mountain will communicate to you. You will receive messages, right? It's called instinct, right? And it will help you. It will give you like sort of a mantra or sort of meditation, or give you some sort of way to maneuver through this earth to reach victory, because the earth wants you to have victory, right? This whole matrix, this magic show that human beings are not here to have victory is total BS, right? A belief system, total BS, right? It's not real, right? There's a sort of equilibrium. There's a sort of justice on this planet Earth, a sort of cosmic law that is, you are to have victory. Your whole journey through life is your soul's journey completion, right? Soul's journey completion, right? To ascend, to learn things, to graduate, to move on, to move forward, right? To ignite more creative potential, not less, right? When we get earthbound, when we get very sort of locked into the BS, is when we start to participate in non-reality, right? And a non-reality is basically there's no creative energy, right? In the reality of this earth, there's creative energy everywhere. There's potential, there's possibility everywhere, right? Within your own mind. You don't even need to travel necessarily. You could just spend your life in a cave and then receive the sort of expansion of this planet Earth, right? And all of its wonder and sacred sites, right? So the fearlessness has to do with your expansion, your creative expansion, the deeper energy you have. We can call it the prana, right? We can call it the strength of your legs, the strength of your navel, the strength of your nervous system, right? Because when you get initiated further, right, you get the challenges get more intense. It's like school, right? The more that you go into a particular study, the more it becomes more vigorous. It really kind of cracks you open. It demands more critical thought, right? When it's sort of basic or seeming simple, it's more can laid out, right, to you, right? But the more complex it becomes, it's kind of like the shaman mind. The more you have to use your critical thought, the more you have to develop a creative mind, right? A creative mind. And that's kind of what it means to be introspective, to contemplate, to be able to shapeshift, right? Forms, to kind of look at things from a different perspective that will require you to be more dynamic, more multidimensional, right? And that's really what the shaman represents, right? Or I like to say Black Madonna, right? I kind of consider the sort of original sort of school of shamanism, right? When it comes to the league of women, right? And that has everything to do with the fulfilling of one's creative destiny, the embodying of one's authentic code, right? Sort of downloading the wisdom of planet Earth and in this many eras and ages to help you as a human being continue to expand and to initiate yourself further. So when you initiate yourself further, you become wealthier in the creative energy that you can give and that you can, kind of download into this body, right? Not just on this earth, but also other planets, right? And all of that has to do with change. It has to do with transformation, transitions, right? It has to do with bringing justice. It has to do with bringing sort of the ascension, the sort of help facilitate that ascension on planet Earth, right? In learning lessons and moving past suffering, right? The paying of karmic debts, helping people become more knowledgeable so that they can move on from the pain and these sort of traumas and curses, right? So that's what we're working on with the unlocking of the mystic within ourselves, the sort of mystic code.